Hey, g'day everyone, it's Mike from Finding Fish and welcome to Cuba. And welcome to my 40th trip to Cuba video. In this video, I'm going to be going over what it's like to be living at a resort for over 40 trips. And for about half of the year, or actually more than that, because I'm traveling so much, not only to Cuba, but the rest of the world, I'm not home as often, so people always write in and say, how's your life? What do you do? How does it feel to be away from home? And what do you do in certain circumstances? And I just have a lot of questions that people constantly ask me. So I thought I'd make a video about it and I'm gonna share it with you. Now, this is my 40th trip to Cuba and it's my 4th time this calendar year. And I set out this year in 2024 to say I was gonna hit maybe 8 to 10 resorts. But I think I'm gonna probably do another 10 this year, so that'll be 14 different resorts alone this year. Let's just go back for the full calendar year and I'll catch up to speed. If you've never watched my channel, or if you have, well, you probably know where I've been. But since last April to this April, right now when I'm making this video, started last April, I started off at the Grand Muthu, flew home, went to Antigua, flew home from there, picked up Jenny, we went to Memories Carib, then we went to Cayo Largo. Then I took a little bit of a break for August. Start of September, I went to the Flamenco. I followed up by going to Santa Maria and I went to the Sanctuary. Flew home. 2 days after that, at the start of October, I flew to Europe. I went to Dublin. Then I went to Belfast for a week. Flew to London for a week. Went to Paris for 4 or 5 days. Flew back to London for 2 or 3 days, back to Dublin, flew home, went home for about a week or so. Then I flew out to Varadero, went to Azul, flew back home, picked up Jenny, and Jenny and I went to El Patricia in Varadero, so I went back to back Varaderos. Honestly, I flew home, got home at 4 in the morning, started laundry, uploaded videos to YouTube, went to sleep for an hour, did all my things that I needed to do for YouTube, my descriptions, sent 3 videos, made thumbnails. 11 o'clock that morning, I was back on the highway, flying out at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock that afternoon, back to go to trip for a week, and then came home, had a break for 2 full weeks over Christmas. Then I headed back out January, went home for a week or 2, down to Cuba one last time at the end of January. Then to Thailand, stayed in Thailand for 30 days, made that series. And now back in Cuba, as soon as I got home from Thailand, went back to Cuba again. That was my 3rd trip this year, and now this is my 4th trip, and that is in a calendar year. And I'll put up here somewhere how many kilometers I've actually flown in 1 calendar year. So people always ask me, what is it like to live at resorts and to live away from home so often at my age, and I'm 53 years old. So let's dive into some of the questions that you ask me. So this is the #1 question that I do get asked. Mike, what's it like to live at resorts and do you ever miss the comforts of home? How do you like it? What's it like living at resorts? It's interesting because it's actually, I have been doing it for so long. Not only living at resorts, but living all over the place, like kind of being like a nomad. It's comforting. I find it kind of comforting. I have a routine. When I get into my room, I check my room out. If I have a really great mattress and a great bed and it's light and airy, it does really help me out. I know I come down here for the beach, but because I'm away from home so much, it actually helps with my mindset when my room is really nice. And I don't mean like has to be super nice, but when it's bright, that really does help out with my mindset when I'm away. Maybe I haven't been home in a month or so. Ocean views really help my mindset out to overcome the missing of home. What also helps out is the phone and WhatsApp, because I can contact my wife anywhere in the world, probably talk 2 or 3 times a day, regardless of where I'm at. And same with my kids. They want to text me once in a while, but you know, they're like nomads too. If they don't want to talk to dad, I might not hear from them for 2 or 3 days. Technology is totally key to keep my mindset stable and to keep my wife and I connected as a couple and as best friends, which is amazing because we, you know, it's not like we have a conversation over a coffee that we do every single day when we're home in our bed. But so that just really helps out, having the technology. Do I miss the comforts of home? Yeah, I miss morning coffee routine with my wife. We get up fairly early before the gym and we always have coffee together every single day of our lives. We have coffee in our bed and our dog hangs out with us and we just talk about whatever's happening in our lives. That's what I do miss the absolute most. I miss my kids and I really miss my dog. Okay, another question. How do I manage to balance your personal life while living a nomadic lifestyle at resorts? I don't really live a balanced life. I try to. I wake up at the same time every single day at 5 in the morning. I get up early so I can work on my computer because I'm really good with thought process in the morning. Everything becomes clearer to me. I have coffee. I work in my room. If I have a good workstation here, that really helps me out by working in my room. And with my spouse, it's easy. And with my kids, it's easy. With my friends, I don't see them as often because I'm really never in town. I'm never really in my home country that often. If I'm home, I'm going to the gym with my wife and my kids. We work out together. And I'm usually not home for very long. I don't make a lot of plans when I come to Cuba. I don't know when I'm gonna fly down here next, so I might be at home for a week or two, and then when I feel like I've got a lot accomplished at home, I press enter and I'm back on a flight. Personal life with my wife, over technology, and when we get home, like when I'm home with my wife, we hang out the entire time. So because we're really good friends and we're really close and we really enjoy each other's company, so that's where my personal balance, I guess, happens, if that makes any sense. Do I ever find it challenging to maintain relationships with friends and family while living away so often? Yeah, 100%. I haven't seen some of my buddies in like months. Everyone that I know at my age, everyone kind of is traveling like at Christmas or at March breaks. So it's always yin and yang. I'm not meeting up with people because I'm constantly on an airplane or at an airport. That is the honest truth. So for when I'm at home, it's a rarity for me to go out and hang out. I'm not in town that often, and when I am, the most important thing is hanging out with my kids, my wife, maintaining our house, fixing things that need to be fixed because things break when you're away, and I need to make sure that I'm still a dad and I'm a husband and things get done. So when I do leave, my wife doesn't have to be burdened with so many things. So with my family, I make sure I pop in to see my mom and dad, and I pop in to see Jenn's mom and dad as often as I can because our folks are getting older and time is precious. What are some of the biggest perks living at a resort compared to living at home? Okay, this is an interesting question. I don't have to vacuum and dust. I love to clean. So for me, when I'm here, the only thing I do is tidy up my room. I put all my stuff away. That's all I do. The biggest perk though is I get up, I find out at each resort where the best place to get a cappuccino or a coffee. That's amazing. And I go to that place every single day. Another perk is when you're at a resort for a while, they know how to make your omelet. Like they don't even ask. You want the usual and you get the usual. When I'm here, I can eat fairly healthy because I don't need to indulge. I do this all the time. I don't need to have all the stuff all the time. Like I stay away from certain things that don't agree with my body. Sometimes I order stuff to make videos of it so I can share it with you. But for me, the biggest perk is the food. A big perk is when I get a really great room with a great view and the bed is really comfortable. Once in a while, I have to pinch myself to tell myself, like, look where you're at. You're at a resort. Look at your view. Sometimes I take it for granted because I'm always here, and then, you know, like everything in life, we take things for granted when it's always the same. And it's not always the same. I'm at different resorts all the time, and so different resorts have different offerings. And when I go to a resort that has a great offering, I love it. That's a perk to me, is when I find the good resorts. How do I handle practical matters while receiving emails and managing finances while living at a resort? I don't manage my emails much. My wife looks after all that, and she kind of handles, you know, finding fish. My kids handle my Instagram. When it comes to bills and finances, before I leave the country, I always pay all the bills. I look after all that. My wife doesn't want to deal with that. She doesn't want that on her plate, so I make sure like all the bills are paid. The house is maintained. Things are good to go. If there's an issue, she knows who to call to get things dealt with, but our house is always maintained. Like we always look after upgrading or having anything done that is an issue. When I'm home in the summertime and when I'm home in off season, things just get looked after. Garage doors break, furnaces have issues, things always have issues, and I make sure like I deal with those immediately, so it's not a burden on her, so she just has to concentrate on her job and our kids. Do you ever feel isolated or lonely being at resorts and away for extended periods of time? Like I said, technology is key nowadays. So if I ever feel lonely, or my wife feels lonely, or I get a text like I need you, whatever, like the technology's there, like we could do FaceTime all the time. It really helps out. I talk to my spouse minimum 3 times a day, unless I'm having a huge travel day and I'm in Thailand or in Europe or I'm somewhere. And on big travel days, sometimes, we might not talk for maybe a day, maybe 2 at the most. But Jenny always knows that I'm probably on a flight, I'm in between countries, I'm somewhere where it's probably not convenient for me to call. I probably don't have an option. Do I feel lonely? I don't feel lonely too often. I don't feel that. I think it's because of the technology, and it's because I'm doing something I actually really love to do. I love to travel, I love to see things. And if you've ever seen me, if you're a subscriber and you see me at a resort, you know what? I'm probably facing to my computer with my headphones in, and I'm working right where I'm having dinner or at a bar or whatever, immersed in with people. So I feel like I'm a part of it, even though I'm pulled away working on it. And you can ask any subscriber, they'll come and say hello, or I'm always having a chit chat with someone, because someone always says, oh my gosh, you're here, I can't believe it. What are some of the most memorable experience you had living at resorts or living away for a long period of time? Okay, this is an easy one. It's the sunrise, the sunset. Those are my favorite things. Like when you catch a really good sunrise, or you see an amazing sunset, especially in September, October, November, when there's a lot of storms in the oceans. They make for amazing sunsets, and that's really nice. Hanging out with people, meeting, like sometimes you meet really awesome people that work at these resorts, and they're awesome not because they want to make a tip from you, it's because they're just good people in general. So that's really awesome. Seeing some incredible beaches. Like I was just at the Perla Blanca, there are beaches, it's right up there. Like it's one of the best beaches in the world. And if you've ever been to that beach at low tide to the right of the resort, you know what I'm talking about. Or Serena Beach, or I come across all these crazy beaches like Pilar, in Guillermo at the Starfish. Like I get to see some incredible beaches, and I have to pinch myself because it's like, gosh, like I'm standing on some of the best beaches in the entire world. Don't get isolation, and you don't get away from it all when you're at some of the beaches in parts of the world. But when you come to Cuba, you can go to beaches and there's nobody on them at select periods of time in select months. Like you have it to yourself, and that to me, it's by far the best thing. If this place ever gets hopping, like guess what? It's over. If Cuba gets out there and becomes even better at what they do, what we pay for and what we see, it'll be gone. And the last question is, what is it really like to do what I do and to live at resorts? Like, I gotta pinch myself some days. Like, it's pretty cool what I do. It's great, the people I get to meet, the beaches that I get to see, the breeze, the heat. I eat some really good food. Cuba gets thrown under the bus sometimes for having, oh, the food's terrible. I have to argue with people, and I don't even argue with people. I just know, like, some resorts are better than others. I know sometimes what you pay is, if you pay a little bit more and you can go to the better resorts, you're gonna get better food offering. Sometimes of the year, the food offering goes up and down, especially in low season. Resorts have a hard time managing their costs and managing how much food to bring in when you really don't know how many guests are going to be coming in September, October, November. So sometimes the food quality isn't as good, but when you go to resorts and you stumble across resorts that have great food quality all the time, like Trip, Daiquiri, like their food quality for what I paid, their food quality was great. I run into some of these just anomalies, like where you get a really crazy deal and you get really well surprised. For me, that's amazing. I love finding a great bed, a great mattress, a great view, really nice room. Like my room here is beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. My shower, I've had lots of hot water. My bathroom's renovated, it's gorgeous. This is a newer resort. Like I have to pinch myself. This is my office for the week. Like this is cool. And next week or whenever I fly out or go to the next place, I don't know what it's gonna be, but I love it when I get pleasantly surprised. For me, it's like, oh, this is a bonus. But the biggest thing that I've learned to do while doing what I do is you always have to go with the flow. The biggest takeaway from all of this is if you can't go with the flow, you're not going to survive doing what I do, or you're not going to survive going to Cuba month after month. You know, like I run into people like 15 timers, 20 timers, 30 timers. They're all like-minded like me. Like, things happen in Cuba. Doors break, washrooms clog, things happen, doors don't slide properly. You gotta call management kindly, see if they can come up and fix it. Typically, things can get done within a matter of a couple hours out of your convenience, but guess what? It happens to us all, it happens to me. That's the most important thing. If you're coming to Cuba, get rid of your expectation and your entitlement. Don't think you're better than somebody else because you make some money back in Canada. Like, it doesn't matter here. We're all equal. When you're a tourist in Cuba. That's it. It doesn't matter what you do back in Canada. You're just like everybody else. And if you can go with the flow, you're gonna have a great time here. And if you didn't come for the beach, if you came for something else, I don't know. You know, I always come for one thing and one thing only, the beach. Safety's number 2. A good bed, great view, hanging out with some subscribers. After that, everything else is gravy, pure gravy. Anyway, you know what? If you like my channel, if you like this video, hey, do me a favor, like and subscribe. Really helps me out, and guess what? I'll see you in the next video.